Interesting people, always one of the great features of travelling, and this trip was no exception. On the way from Adelaide to Melbourne, we stopped for a first night at the Ararat Caravan Park. We visited the kitchen to check it out and got talking to a woman who was visiting, who told us that she'd been to the park many times in the last few months. When we asked why, it turns out her husband was in the local prison. He was a serving police officer in the Victorian Police Force, but he'd been convicted of perverting the course of justice and sentenced to 12 months in the local Ararat prison. The Discovery Park is where we spend the night before we board the ferry. It's close to the ferry and a good park. We're up early on the morning of the 11th, packed the camper in the dark. Today's the day we board the Spirit of Tasmania. We practiced the run from the caravan park to the port yesterday so we knew where to go. And we finally arrived at the ticket office very early in the morning. We needed to be there early because it took a long time to board.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you? You've got to go right back to where we were.
Yeah, because you come in. The seat numbers are on the boarding passes. Have a lovely trip.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Peace. Where do you go here?
Oh, no. I'm leaving.
Huh?
I'm leaving. No. Go out and around and back, do you?
I don't know, but I did have a sinking feeling we'd just been directed off the ship.
A big gas and firearm collection. Not. Round to the left. Does anyone follow? Yeah, there are other people coming behind us. I think. Yeah, there you go. Up
Down
the ramp.
Up the ramp. I think there'd be someone here. Huh?
Nearly lost our way to the boat.
Oh, there's a petrol station up here.
They go over the edge.
We make our way up to the recliner seats that we booked, which are very comfortable, and sit back ready to leave port.
We're leaving the port.
It's Maureen's birthday, so it's an excuse, like we need one, to have a drink. I don't, because I'm already feeling a little seasick, even though it's quite calm. The return fares for Maureen and I, the vehicle, the camper trailer, recliner chairs on the way over, and a private cabin on the way back, total $1,500. Our first night in Tasmania was spent at Girdlestone Park, a free camp around the local football oval. It was difficult to back the trailer up a wet, grassy, slippery slope. Nevertheless, we made it despite the wind and rain all night. It's a cold morning and we have breakfast at a local cafe. We should have waited until we got to our first tourist spot, the House of Ambers, because not only was the chili chocolate delicious, but we saw the breakfast they were serving and we made a point of returning later in the trip to have breakfast there. From there it was across to the Axemen's Hall of Fame to have a look at the history of wood chopping, something we've often seen at the Royal Show in Adelaide. Sherwood Hall was built in 1850 for Thomas Johnson, an ex-convict turned stockman who married Dolly Dalrymple, an Aboriginal woman. They married in a time when mixed marriages were not accepted by either side. Sherwood Hall is adjacent to a tranquil river and not far from a berry farm, which produces delicious ice cream. We drive to Mole Creek and visit the Maricopa Cave and then on to the Mole Creek Caravan Park, where we spend the night, situated amongst the most splendid scenery. The policeman referred to at the beginning of the video, on the 8th of May this year, about 2 weeks ago, had his conviction quashed by the Court of Appeal and has been released from prison. His wife, in her conversation with us, spent much time explaining the background to the appeal case that they were going to mount. They've obviously been successful.